It started on a cold Thursday evening, the kind where the wind whistles through the cracks in the windows and the whole world feels a little too quiet. I had just settled into bed with the TV playing softly in the background, something about old cities and forgotten civilizations. I remember staring at the ceiling, thinking how unusually lonely the night felt. Strange how you can live alone for years but some nights feel emptier than others. Then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate taps on my front door. At first, I thought maybe it was a package, maybe a neighbor, maybe someone at the wrong address. But no one knocks at 11:47 p.m. on a residential street unless it's something urgent. I waited, thinking they might go away, but then the knock came again. Same rhythm. Same pressure. Like someone rehearsed it. I got up and walked to the door. Didn't open it, just looked through the peephole. A woman stood there. Late 20s maybe. Wearing a long beige coat that looked soaked from the rain, even though it hadn't rained in hours. Her hair was stuck to her face, and her eyes were fixed on the door like she knew I was watching her. "Sir?" she said softly. "Please, I need to talk to you." I didn't answer. Something in me felt wrong, like my instincts were screaming at me to stay quiet, to stay still. She spoke again. "Dad, please." I froze. "Dad? I don't have kids. I've never had kids. Never married. Never even came close." I stepped back from the door. Maybe she was confused. Maybe drunk. Maybe scared. I tried to clear my throat before responding. "You have the wrong house," I said finally. Silence. Then, in a trembling whisper, she said, "I don't. I finally found you." My hand tightened on the doorknob. Something about her voice. It wasn't angry or dramatic. It wasn't begging. It sounded like someone who had been searching for a long time and just broke. I called through the door again. "Miss, I don't know who you think I am, but..." "You're Daniel Hart." My blood ran cold. That was my name. "How do you know my name?" I demanded. "I've known it my whole life," she said. "Please open the door. Just for a moment." Every instinct told me no. But something deeper, a mix of fear and curiosity, made me crack the door open just an inch. Her face was pale, lips trembling, eyes wide with a kind of longing I didn't understand. Seeing me, she let out a shaky breath. "Dad," she whispered. "You're alive." I immediately shut the door. "No," I said firmly through the wood. "I'm not your father. I don't know you." For a moment, I thought she would cry. But instead she grew calm. Too calm. "You don't remember," she said. "They said you wouldn't. But I hoped." Her voice broke. "I hoped they were wrong." I felt coldness spread through my chest. "Who said I wouldn't remember?" "The ones who took you from us." I felt the house tilt. Like reality had shifted just a little too far. She placed her palm against the door gently. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just need you to listen." "Go away," I whispered. "Please." "No. Not until I tell you what they did." I threatened to call the police, but she didn't budge. Finally, after a long pause, she spoke again. "They wiped your memory 28 years ago. You disappeared when I was 3. Mom searched for you until the day she died." My heart hit the inside of my chest painfully. This was insane. I opened the door just enough to tell her to leave, and that's when I saw it. Around her neck was a necklace. A small silver coin with a scar running through the center, like it had been struck by something hot. My breath caught. Because I had the same one. Hidden in a box in my closet. Something I had had since childhood but could never explain. Something that gave me nightmares. She saw the look on my face. "You recognize it, don't you?" I didn't answer. "Dad, this was the coin you gave me. Right before they took you." I stepped outside and told her to back away so I could see her clearly. She obeyed, hands raised slightly so I wouldn't feel threatened. Her face looked strangely familiar. Not in a romantic way. Not in a déjà vu way. In the way you recognize someone you once knew but forgot why. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "To save you," she whispered. Then she looked over her shoulder. "They'll be here soon." A chill crawled up my spine. "Who?" "The ones who erased you. They don't let people reconnect." Every instinct screamed at me to get inside and lock the door. But as I reached for the handle, Headlights appeared down the street. A black car. No plates. It slowed, then stopped. The woman's breathing grew sharp. Dad, we need to go. Now. What is this? Who are they? You don't have time. The car door opened. 2 men stepped out. Suits. Expressionless. Moving with purpose. I panicked and grabbed her arm. Inside, now. We shut the door and locked it while the men walked up the driveway. She moved quickly through the house like she knew the layout, like she had been there before. Do you have a back exit? She asked. Yes, but... Then get whatever matters to you and we leave. I grabbed my wallet, phone, and keys. Through the window I saw one of the men trying the front door handle. Calm. Patient. Like they knew we weren't going anywhere. The woman guided me to the back door. We slipped into the yard, crouched low, and made our way to the fence. I hopped over first, then helped her across. We moved between houses, staying in the shadows. She kept looking behind us, terrified but focused. We need somewhere safe, she said. There's a diner nearby, I offered. No public places. They monitor those. I stopped. Tell me what's happening. She took a deep breath. You were part of a program. A memory experiment. They erased identities and replaced them, testing whether people could live new lives without questioning. That's insane. I know. But you were one of them. And something went wrong. You started remembering pieces. You tried to run. So they wiped you again. My legs felt weak. Why me? Because you were the only one who remembered everything. Her voice trembled. And because you weren't supposed to have a family. That complicates their control. We continued walking until we reached an old service road. She stopped suddenly and looked at me with tears in her eyes. Dad, I don't need you to believe everything. I just need you to trust me long enough to keep you alive. I looked into her eyes. And in that moment, something cracked inside me. A flash. A memory. A voice calling me. Dad. A tiny hand holding mine. A woman standing in a kitchen smiling. And then pain. Bright lights. Something cold against my temples. I staggered. She grabbed my arm. It's starting, isn't it? You're remembering. More flashes. A dark room. Metal straps. Men in suits. Screaming. My screaming. My knees buckled and she held me against her chest. Breathe, she whispered. You're safe. I've got you. We stayed like that for a few moments until the pain subsided. Then she said something that made my blood turn to ice. They didn't just erase you, Dad. They replaced you. I didn't understand. What does that mean? You're not the only version of you, she whispered. There's another one. Living your old life. Believing he's you. The world spun. And now, she added, they don't need to. Before I could react, headlights appeared behind us. The same car. It had found us. She grabbed my hand. Run. And we did. Through the dark road, hearts pounding, every step echoing with fear and something else, something like responsibility. Like a father trying to protect his child. Even if he couldn't remember her. Even if the truth was twisted beyond belief. Even if the past was a lie. I didn't know who I was anymore. But I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't letting them take me again. Or her. Not this time. We ran into the night, not knowing where we were heading. Only knowing one thing. This wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. The road ahead of us seemed endless, but the sound of tires behind us kept getting louder. The woman, my supposed daughter, held my hand so tightly her nails cut into my skin. Neither of us dared to look back. The night swallowed us as we ran deeper into the service road, our breaths sharp, our steps uneven. When we finally turned a corner, she pulled me off the pavement and into the trees. Fallen branches snapped under our feet. The bushes scraped our legs. The forest wasn't thick, but it was dark enough to give us a chance. The headlights passed by the road slowly, then stopped. The car engine shifted into an idle hum. They were waiting, listening. We crouched low behind a fallen tree trunk, trying not to make a sound. I could feel her trembling. She kept her hand over her mouth, eyes locked on the moving shadows between the trees. Doors opening. Footsteps. 2 sets. They moved with unsettling calmness, like they weren't tracking prey, They were collecting property. The woman whispered into my ear, "Dad, don't breathe loudly. They're trained for sound." Dad. That word still felt foreign, but something inside me answered to it. We stayed completely still as one of the men walked just a few feet from us. I could see his shoes, polished, black, spotless. Even in the dirt. Even in the forest. He turned suddenly, facing our direction. My heart dropped. But then, another sound echoed from deeper in the woods. A branch snapped. Someone, was running. The man's head jerked away from us. Then both men ran toward the noise, leaving the road behind. The moment they were far enough, the woman grabbed my hand. "We have to move." We slipped through the forest in the opposite direction, away from the men, away from the car. The deeper we went, the colder it became. The trees creaked as the wind pushed through them, and every sound felt magnified. After nearly 10 minutes, we reached an old maintenance shed half buried in vines. She pushed the rusted door open just enough for us to slip inside. It was pitch black. I pulled out my phone to use the flashlight, but she stopped me instantly. "No light," she whispered. "They can detect it." So we sat in the dark, listening, breathing quietly. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. "I've been looking for you for 6 years." I turned toward her shadowy outline. "Why now? Why tonight? I found your location last week. Your new identity popped up in one of the leaked files. The ones from inside the program. The ones someone risked everything to smuggle out." Her voice cracked. "When I saw your name, I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was a trick. But I had to try." I swallowed. My throat felt tight. "Why are they after me? What do they want?" "They don't want memories resurfacing," she whispered. "Your brain was the only one that resisted the reset. Even after the wipe, fragments kept returning. You kept remembering pieces of your old life, me, your wife, the night they took you." I closed my eyes. Those flashes earlier, the pain, the voices. "How many times did they wipe me?" She hesitated. 4. It felt like the air was sucked out of the room. "You were a threat," she said softly. "Not because you fought, but because you remembered." My voice trembled. "Who did this to me?" She took a deep breath. "Dad, this wasn't a government project. It wasn't military. It was private." A cold shiver ran up my spine. "A corporation," she whispered. "An organization that created identities like they were products. You weren't the only one taken. Hundreds were erased, reassigned, reprogrammed. And I worked for them?" I asked. "No. You exposed them. Or you tried to. That's why they took you. That's why they took your life away." A heavy silence fell between us. "Who leaked those files?" I asked. She looked at the floor. "Someone on the inside who still believed you could come back. Someone who remembered what you tried to do." My breath caught. "Who?" Her voice cracked. "Mom." I stared into the darkness. "She's alive?" She wiped her face, holding back tears. "No. Not anymore. She died 2 years ago before she could escape. But she leaked everything she had before they found her." I felt the room tilt. A pain I didn't understand hit me right in the chest. "And her last message," the woman whispered, "was for me to find you." The darkness around us felt heavier than before. My pulse thudded in my ears, and the silence was suddenly broken by a sharp sound from outside. Gravel shifting. Footsteps. The same measured pace. They'd found the shed. The woman grabbed my arm. "Move. Now." We slipped out the back, pushing through the brush. The footsteps got closer. They were inside the shed. Searching. Slow. Methodical. We ducked behind a cluster of trees. The forest felt alive with danger. I whispered, "Where do we go?" She pointed to a faint glow in the distance. "There's an old storm tunnel. It runs under the highway. If we can reach it, they won't follow us down there." We ran again, exhausted, terrified, but moving. Branches tore at our clothes. Roots caught our feet. The forest thinned as we approached a steep hill. At the bottom was a concrete drain leading into darkness. "That's it," she said. We slid down the muddy slope and slipped into the tunnel. The air was damp and cold. Our footsteps echoed. The further we went, the darker it became. I heard water dripping, rats skittering, the sound of our heavy breathing bouncing off the walls. We walked blind for minutes that felt like hours. But then, light. A faint blue glow ahead of us. We emerged into a massive underground passage. Abandoned. Crumbling. But filled with equipment, old generators, metal crates, wires hanging from the ceiling. She stopped. "This is where the files were dropped," she said. "This is where I first learned you were alive." I looked around. "Why here?" "Because no one comes down here. Not even them. It's off the grid." I stared at her. "What now?" She turned to me slowly. There was fear in her eyes. And something else. Resolve. "No," she whispered. "You have to remember the truth. All of it. Before they catch up to us." "But how?" She reached into her coat and pulled out something I couldn't see clearly in the dim light. A device. Small. Metallic. Cold-looking. "You built this," she said. "Before they took you. It can unlock suppressed memories." My throat tightened. "If I use that, will it hurt?" She looked down. "Yes." "Will it kill me?" "It might." "Will they stop hunting if I remember?" "No." Her voice shook. "But you'll finally know what they took from you." I stared at the device. I felt the weight of a life I couldn't remember pressing on me. Then I nodded. She activated the device and placed it against my temple. A sound like electricity filled the tunnel. My vision blurred. My knees buckled. And then I remembered. Everything. The night they came. The things they did. The people who betrayed me. The truth about the program. The real reason they wanted me erased. The secret I died trying to expose. And the worst part. The other man living my old life. He wasn't just a replacement. He was built. Designed. Engineered. A perfect copy. Except for one thing. He was loyal. I gasped, collapsing to the ground. The woman held my head, crying. "Dad? Dad, can you hear me?" I looked at her. And I finally remembered her name. "Lily." She froze, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You remember me?" I nodded weakly. For the first time, she hugged me like a daughter hugging her father after a lifetime apart. But the moment didn't last. From the far end of the tunnel. Footsteps. Dozens. They had found us. Lily pulled away, wiping her face. "Dad, they're coming." The men stepped into view. Not 2. Not 5. 10. Their leader raised a flashlight toward us. "Daniel Hart," he said calmly. "It's time to come home." Lily stepped in front of me. "No," she said. "Not again." And then, behind the men, another figure entered the tunnel. A man. My age. My height. My face. My replacement. He looked at me with cold, perfect indifference. "You've caused enough trouble," he said. "You need to be retired." Lily whispered. "Dad, what do we do?" I took a breath. For the first time in 20 years, I knew exactly who I was. And what I had to do. I stood up slowly. Lily held onto my arm. The replacement stared me down like a mirror trained to kill. "Let's finish this," I said. And all hell broke loose. The tunnel filled with the echo of footsteps and heavy breaths as the men advanced toward us. Their silhouettes moved like predators, synchronized and unhurried. Behind them stood the one who carried my face, my replacement, watching with inhuman stillness. The air was damp and cold. The ground beneath my feet vibrated softly with each calculated step they took forward. My daughter, Lily, held her breath beside me, her fingers gripping my sleeve tightly as the reality of what stood before us settled in. I could see fear in her eyes, but I also saw something else. Strength. Determination. A fire that hadn't been there when I first opened the door for her hours earlier. My replacement spoke first. "You were meant to fade," he said calmly, stepping forward. "Instead, you resurfaced. Remembering what you were never supposed to." His voice was steady, almost gentle, but empty. Hollow. Like a perfect imitation of humanity without the soul. Lily stepped in front of me, shielding me with her small frame. "You don't touch him," she said fiercely. Her voice cracked, but her stance didn't. The replacement tilted his head the same way I did when I was thinking, an identical habit stolen from me. "You are defending a man who isn't yours anymore," he replied coldly. "The original Daniel Hart died the night he was taken. What stands beside you is an anomaly. A malfunction." I clenched my fists. "No," I said quietly. "What stands in front of you is a machine pretending to be a man." His eyes flickered. "Just a glitch." But I saw it. Maybe he wasn't as perfect as they wanted him to be. The armed men raised their weapons in perfect unison. I pushed Lily behind me. "When I say run," I whispered, "you run. Don't look back." She shook her head frantically. "No. I'm not leaving you again. You have to." "I won't." The replacement took another step forward. "This ends now." A rifle clicked. And then, a loud metallic clang echoed from somewhere deeper in the tunnel. The guards turned toward the noise. Lily's eyes widened. "It's the old generator," she whispered. "It's unstable. If someone hit it, it'll spark." The replacement frowned. "Who else is down here?" "Nobody." The tunnel was abandoned. But the sound bought us 2 seconds. 2 seconds can save a life. I grabbed Lily's hand and ran. Gunshots exploded behind us, ricocheting off the concrete walls. The flash of muzzle flare lit the tunnel like lightning. Dust rained from the ceiling. Pieces of old wiring snapped loose. Lily stumbled, but I pulled her back to her feet. "Just keep going." We sprinted toward the far end of the tunnel, where broken railings led to a maintenance shaft. Behind us, the footsteps multiplied. The men were fast, efficient, closing the distance. We reached the shaft ladder. I shoved Lily toward it. "Climb!" She grabbed the rungs and began climbing quickly. I followed, but halfway up the metal shook violently as bullets struck it. I felt the sting of a sharp burn across my leg. A graze. I gritted my teeth and kept climbing. We reached the top, a rusted grate. Lily pushed, and it gave way with a loud crack. Cold air rushed over us as we crawled onto an abandoned industrial yard. Storage containers towered around us like forgotten giants. Darkness swallowed everything except the faint glow of a distant streetlight. Lily didn't wait. She grabbed my hand. "Come on. There's a maintenance truck on the other side." We ran through the maze of containers. My lungs burned. My leg throbbed. But adrenaline pushed me forward. Behind us, the grate slammed open, and the men poured out. "Dad, faster!" she cried. We reached the truck, dusty, old, but intact. Lily jumped into the driver's seat, hot-wired it with skill far beyond her age. The engine sputtered, coughed, then roared. She slammed the gear into drive. But as the truck moved, a figure stepped in front of it. My replacement. His eyes locked onto mine through the windshield. He didn't blink. Didn't move. Didn't show fear. Lily pressed harder on the pedal. But I grabbed her wrist. "No." She looked at me with disbelief. "What?" "You can't kill him," I said quietly. "They need him. Not you. He's your only shield." The men surrounded the truck, weapons raised. We were cornered. Lily's breathing broke. She looked at me, tears gathering. "What do we do now?" I looked at her, really looked at her. At the child I lost. At the woman she became alone. At the life stolen from both of us. And I knew. There was only one way out. I placed my hand on her cheek gently. "Lily, listen to me." She shook her head. "Don't say it. Dad, don't. You're going to survive this," I said softly. "Even if I don't." "No." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I just found you. I can't lose you again." I swallowed the pain in my throat. "You won't lose me." "Not really. I'm a part of you. And you're the only good thing I ever made in this world." The men outside shouted commands. They were preparing to fire. I leaned forward and pressed a button under the dashboard. The emergency floodlights. They burst on, blindingly bright. The men staggered. My replacement shielded his eyes. I kicked open the passenger door and jumped out. "Dad!" Lily screamed. I landed hard, but I didn't stop. I ran straight at the men. Toward the guns. Toward the undeniable end. They turned toward me. Lily slammed her hand on the horn, screaming my name. I shouted, "Go!" She didn't move. I yelled louder, with everything I had left. Lily, go! She slammed the truck into reverse, tires screeching as she sped backward out of the yard. The men aimed at her, but I collided with the nearest one, knocking him off balance. Gunshots flashed. Pain ripped through my shoulder, but I held on. The replacement walked toward me slowly, expression unreadable. You can't win, he said. Wasn't trying to. I grabbed the nearest guard and pulled him between us. A final shot fired. White pain. Then nothing. I collapsed to my knees. The replacement stood over me, lowering his weapon. Why sacrifice yourself? He asked. You could have lived if you surrendered. I managed a weak, bloody smile. Because I'm human. His expression flickered. Confusion? Jealousy? It vanished quickly. The world was fading. In the distance, I heard the truck engine growing faint. Lily was gone. Safe for now. That was enough. I exhaled slowly as the darkness closed in. My last thoughts were of her. And the life we should have had. The replacement turned away, signaling the men to pursue the truck. But by the time they reached the road, she was long gone. Into a future she would have to face alone. Carrying my memory. And my love. And the truth. Even if the world never learned what happened here. The night swallowed everything. And the story of Daniel Hart ended quietly. But Lily's was just beginning.